Everybody, welcome to the Don J MMA podcast. It's been a while, but we're back. Don Dada, how are you? And how are you feeling about UFC 295?
Yeah, it's been a while. A few things we got to touch up on. Hopefully, the sound and quality of the podcast is a lot better now. UFC 295 this weekend, cannot wait. Big upsets are happening, especially for the
Big
Pereira
upsets.
fanboys.
Oh, right, we're going to get into that a little bit later. Something I want to go over, I guess, quite quickly is our, I guess, breakout star of the card. And in my opinion, a lot of people are talking about him. A lot more people are talking about him. But for me, it is Diego Lopez. I feel like a lot of people are talking about Benoit Saint Denis. And I do think
That's who
he
I
will
would
get a win
pick.
as well. But Diego Lopez, in my opinion, he might not look like super. I guess there's something about people that look like Diego Lopez that doesn't like grab casuals as much. But Diego Lopez, he might look like a basic guy, but he's a very, very good fighter.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, I'm pretty sure he made his UFC debut taking short notice fight against Mozar Evloev, didn't he?
Mm.
And he looked pretty decent in that fight. As
Yeah.
far as I'm aware, I think when the odds came out for his matchup this weekend, he was the underdog, which is bizarre to me. I
Yeah,
don't get
maybe
that.
if you're betting, chuck money on him, maybe.
Yeah, I already have. I'm already in there, locked in. But yeah, Benoit Saint Denis for me, this guy is going to be pushing into the top 10 at lightweight. I think his last performance, he did show a lot of holes in his stand up where his striking defense was non-existent, and Matt Favola does hit hard. He also does train at a really good gym, at Serra Longo, I think it's called, with Aljo and Marab and all those guys. So we know his grappling. He's not going to be a bum on the ground, but I just think Benoit Saint Denis is just he's got momentum, and I think he's just really talented, and he's on his way to get into the top 10 at lightweight. I just think it's happening.
Yeah, the thing with Benoit Saint Denis, like from what I've seen, is Matt Frivola. The UFC's picked this matchup. I feel like they see that there's a potential hype train in Benoit, and I think they know that he should. I mean, should beat Matt Frivola quite convincingly, especially when he starts to level change. But Matt Frivola's a tough character. You know, he's been knocked out before, and he's also been knocked out quite quickly before. But Matt Frivola, he's been on a bit of a tear lately. He can knock you out with one shot. Obviously, Benoit Saint Denis, he's shown, I guess, some holes defensively at times, but in my opinion, he keeps improving every fight. And he and Diego Lopez, if it goes how the UFC wants it to go, they should probably put on statement performances. Moving on, the co-main event. I don't know which fight I'm more excited for, the co-main or the main, but the co-main event, Tom
Yeah,
Aspinall
it's a
versus
great
Sergey
fight.
Pavlovich. I mean, Tom Aspinall has got his hands full in this one.
Yeah, just briefly before we touch on the co-main, Matt Frivola is overrated just purely because he KO'd Drew Dober. That's why everybody's on the hype train. If he didn't do
Yeah.
that, no one would actually care about him. Just wanted to add
Yeah.
that in quickly. But yeah, co-main event, insane. Much better fight than Stipe and John Jones, in my opinion. Much,
Yeah.
much better fight. A lot of people though are disregarding this fact when they're talking about their breakdowns, predictions, things like that. Is Pavlovich would have been in camp for this date as he was the backup fighter. Tom Aspinall
Yeah.
is taking this fight on 2 weeks' notice. A lot of people are disregarding that. That's going to play a big factor in this, I think, on how this fight
Yeah.
plays out.
Yeah. I mean, the thing we have to see how disciplined Tom Aspinall is out of camp. And I think Tom Aspinall's not an idiot. He always seems quite humble. I really don't think he would have took this fight if he felt that he wasn't going to be prepared enough. But then again, I feel like there's always, if he loses, everyone will say, well, 10 days notice. You know,
Yeah,
even though whether we agree with that or not, that's just always going to be a talking point. Sergey Pavlovich has had probably a camp ish. He's probably been preparing for Jones or Stipe. So Tom Aspinall's a very different challenge. One thing I want to mention is the wrestling of Tom Aspinall. I don't believe Sergey Pavlovich can go and just bulldoze straight through Tom Aspinall in the first round like he has with every one of his opponents so far. He can't just walk forward and get in trades with Tom. Tom's very fast, very sharp with his boxing. He does keep his chin in the air, and I believe he's been caught by it off Curtis Blades for as long as that fight lasted. He's been caught by it a few times. And if he gets over eager, I actually think Sergey Pavlovich might knock him out cold and quite early on. But I do believe once Tom level changes, I feel like Sergey's going to respect Tom a lot more in the fight. And then I think the pace will suit Tom more. I personally, if I had to pick someone for that fight, I think I am going to go with Tom. Listen, I've got to back the boy. He's from the Northwest, same as me. But
Yeah.
I absolutely think he's going to get hurt in this fight.
Yeah, it's an interesting fight. I don't know if you've seen this. I think I seen it today, but Sergey was talking about him being in camp to be the backup fighter, etc. And he was like, you're training the grappling for John Jones, then you're training the striking for Stipe, and he said that like basically Tom Aspinall is those two guys put together. I disagree, but I think that's giving Tom Aspinall a bit too much. I don't know, like they building him up a bit to say he's the mix of John
Yeah,
and Stipe, but I mean, anyway, builds their fight up. Yeah, Tom Aspinall, in my opinion, will win this matchup. I think just looking at it, he's a more well-rounded fighter than Sergey, but Sergey has the equalizer, similar to Francis Ngannou. It really
yeah,
doesn't matter how good you are. If he hits you, you're done.
yeah, exactly.
Um, like you said, Tom Aspinall, he does fight with his chin in the air, and he cannot get into exchanges with Sergey at all, like at
No,
all. Um, Fast, he does have fast feet, and Tom Aspinall does have good boxing, fast hands. What I think he needs to do in this matchup and his key to victory is a lot of lateral movement when he's on the feet. He has to go first. He cannot let Sergey go first. And another thing which I noticed in the Curtis Blades fight, and Curtis Blades probably would have had a lot more success in that fight if he had stuck to it, but we know guy has no fight IQ, was the leg kicks. He landed, I think, 2 or 3 leg kicks, and they knocked Sergey off balance, knocked him out
yeah,
of rhythm. A lot of leg kicks from Tom Aspinall. And really, Tom Aspinall's timing is going to have to be really on point here because he's going to have to time these takedowns really well. A lot of people are saying, looking at Sergey's first fight in the UFC against Alistair Overeem, he was taken down, ground and pound, finished. Sergey Pavlovich has a 75% takedown defense, and he is one of the strongest heavyweights currently on the active roster. So it will not be easy to get him down. Yes, Tom Aspinall does have 100% takedown accuracy, so every takedown he's went for, he's got. But I think it will be different. I don't necessarily know if a double leg might work on him. I think there'll be a trip against the cage will be his way to get Pavlovich down. I do think Pavlovich, though, when he does hit the mat for the first time, there is a high chance he does get back up because he is so strong. But I do
yeah.
think in and around the second round is where Tom Aspinall is going to find that submission. And that's my prediction anyway. Tom Aspinall to beat Sergey Pavlovich by submission in the second
I,
round.
I feel like there's a lot of people. I mean, a talking point of the fight is how hard Sergey Pavlovich hits, but Tom Aspinall is knocking everybody out. I mean,
Yeah.
people are treating it like Tom Aspinall doesn't have one punch knockout power himself. It's not like the fighters Sergey has fought. He's been able to just disrespect them. He's known like a fighter like Curtis Blades. He knew Curtis Blades gets uncomfortable with pressure, and I guess Curtis Blades will do a Curtis Blades and panic, and he'll get himself knocked out. And then, but with Tom Aspinall, he's super intelligent, hits super hard. The only thing I think Tom Aspinall might struggle with is he can overextend again and leave his chin in the air. And Sergey's really good in exchanges, like really good. He moves his head really well. I think again it comes down to how quick can Tom wrestle. Sergey and Tom, I feel like they're both very open for leg kicks. But when we talk about the Alistair Overeem fight, I mean, a lot of people don't know Sergey Pavlovich was a very high level sambo practitioner,
Yeah.
a very high level sambo practitioner. Now, if he fought, was it Alistair in his debut, UFC
Yeah.
debut? That's
Alistair
just
Overeem in his debut.
that's a horrendous fight to have in your UFC debut. The experience Alistair Overeem had, but this is a different Sergey Pavlovich. I mean, like you said, I've seen him getting up if Tom gets him down. Unless Tom's grappling really is that good, because people talk about how his striking so good. He's submitted guys. He's a very, very good grappler. So we'll see, and he's got very good ground and pound. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, it's an
But
interesting
me,
fight.
exactly. You've got to go for, in my opinion, who's more well-rounded, who has
Tom
more
Aspinall.
avenues to win, and I've got to go
Yeah,
with Tom Aspinall.
And just touching on the punching power, now I know I did compare him there to Francis Ngannou with the equalizer, and in my opinion, Sergey Pavlovich is probably the hardest hitting heavyweight on the UFC's roster at the minute. But when you watch his KOs, it's not he doesn't have like one punch KO power. Like what was his last fight was Curtis Blades. Curtis Blades wasn't like hit once on out cold. Tai Tuivasa wasn't. Derek Lewis wasn't. So I think he will. If he lands on Tommy, he'll be able to knock him down. Yeah, but it's not as if like he lands one punch and that's it done. Sergey, from what I've seen anyway in his recent performances, he doesn't have that power. Still hits hard though.
Yeah. I mean, again though, it's like Tom does keep his chin in the air, so this could
Yeah.
be a huge talking point for the fight. We're really going to see how good Tom Aspinall's chin truly is because it hasn't been tested. Sergey's taken some. I mean, in those exchanges with Derek Lewis, he was walking through Derek Lewis's hands like they were
And Tai
absolutely nothing.
Tuivasa.
Yeah, and Tai Tuivasa. And even Curtis Blades, he's got some pretty powerful shots. But,
Yeah.
we'll see how many shots Tom can take. But again, I'm backing the man from the Northwest. Again,
Yeah.
so into the main event, Yuri Prohaska, Alex Pereira. I know you might have changed. I feel like we both once upon a time said Alex Pereira was going to win and quite comfortably. But
Yeah.
I would like to know, Don Dada, how and why you've changed your mind.
I actually think if you go and watch our last episode, we were both like, me in particular, Alex Pereira wins easy. Not the case anymore. So the more I've been thinking about this fight, the closer it gets. That is what has really changed my opinion, to be brutally honest with you. There's a few things, and I've went over it. Now, Alex Pereira is much more technical than Yuri Prohaska on the feet. You can't even argue that. That's fact.
Yeah.
I think Alex Pereira's leg kicks are going to cause Yuri a lot of problems in this matchup. I still do believe that. And Yuri does get hit easily. And I can't imagine he's improved his striking defense since he's been injured, to be honest. No, I haven't seen, so I don't know. But the more I'm thinking of it, then you go on the Alex Pereira's side. Yuri, and Alex Pereira even said this, Yuri is a hard guy to train for.
Yeah.
He said thankfully he's got Glover in his corner. Yeah, that's all well and good. But I mean, if you go back and watch Yuri versus Glover, as far as I'm aware, Glover was submitted. So I mean, what can that guy really tell you? He hurt him and then jumped guillotine for some reason. But anyway, that's not the fight we're talking about. So yeah, Yuri, unorthodox striking style. I don't really think there's anybody. I wouldn't even say Johnny Walker fights like him at light heavyweight, but he's weird. A lot of shots from the waist, a lot of spinning attacks. His movement's weird as well. He's just a weird fighter. He's just really unorthodox. And I think Alex Pereira's already said he's hard to train for. I think Alex Pereira is going to really struggle with timing Yuri Prohaska in there. I think he's really going to struggle. Now, I do think sooner or later in the fight, Alex Pereira will land and hurt Yuri Prohaska because just looking at a common theme in Yuri's fights, he does get hit and he does get hurt. So Alex Pereira, I don't think will be any different. I think he will hurt Yuri, but I have faith in Yuri's chin and durability. I think the guy is really durable. And I think Alex Pereira will get finished similar to how he got finished by Adesanya. I think he will hurt Yuri. When Yuri starts to back up, Alex Pereira will then go in for the kill. When he does that, just look at his fights. His striking defense isn't there. When he goes in to finish somebody, it's gone. His hands are by his waist, his chin's in the air. And I think it's going to be similar to the Adesanya 2 matchup. He's going to go in for the kill. And I actually think Yuri's going to hit him like a spinning elbow. I'm not even joking. I think Alex is going to rush in and Yuri's going to spin an elbow him. Alex Pereira's going to hit the dirt. Yuri's going to fall into the mat and either finish him with ground and pound or submit him. And I mean, in Yuri's last fight, he did sub Glover. So there is that chance. I mean, he's not just a striker. This guy does have a ground game.
Yeah. I mean, see, the thing that I find interesting about Yuri is it's kind of unknown how much he's improved since his surgery. He looks like he's striking. From the videos I'm seeing of him punching trees, he always has that weird way of throwing that right hand like from his waist, keeping his chin in the air. And I made a video on it yesterday. I feel like Alex Pereira will slip on the outside of that right straight, and I think he's going to land a devastating left hook that is going to hurt Yuri quite badly. Whether or not he finishes him or not, I don't know. But I think this is going to happen quite early on. As for the fight as a whole, like you said, Yuri's super unorthodox. but so is Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira isn't exactly a textbook kickboxer. He's
No,
always
he's not.
fights super squared up, chin in the air, very good at using both his hands to gauge range. Both men, I mean, Yuri can 100% knock Alex Pereira out if he lands clean on him. Yuri has not, like, people are underestimating his finishing ability, but not just that. I'm wondering if Yuri Nurmagomedov makes his UFC debut. I feel like there's a small possibility Yuri uses grappling, Yuri uses wrestling. We'll have to see. Again, it's unknown, but I have a funny feeling that we're falling into the trap of thinking this is just going to be a striking matchup when it is mixed martial arts. And if Yuri tries to grapple with Alex, this is going to definitely throw Alex off, and that'll open up like the spinning elbows, the flying knees, the winging right overhands. This is going to be chaos. First of all, this is not going to be a boring fight. I would be very, very surprised if it's a boring fight. I just think Yuri might be more intelligent than people think he will be in this fight to land a few shots. But ultimately, I think he's going to overextend. And I think Alex Pereira is going to catch him. I think he's going to hurt him. I think he's going to catch him again and hurt him again somewhere in the second round and finish him via TKO to become a 2-division champion. And if Alex Pereira does do that, Don, do you think he is the greatest combat athlete of all time?
No, I'd probably still have Henry Cejudo above him, to be honest. Purely because Henry Cejudo is a 2-time or double champ in the UFC. At the same time, that's the thing Alex Pereira won't have, is he won't have both belts at the same time. And plus the gold medal as well in wrestling.
And without the defenses.
Yeah, I just have him above him. But see, to be honest with this matchup, I'm not saying it's 100% certain Yuri wins. I would not be surprised if Yuri goes out there and tries to defend shots with his face like he normally does, and Alex Pereira folds him like a deck chair. I will not be surprised. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if we go out here and Yuri knocks Alex Pereira out with some spinning shit or submits him. The only thing about the wrestling is, and I think he wrestled a bit in his before he got into the UFC. Yuri Prohaska, not often, but like, how good is his wrestling? Like, maybe he's good when the fight hits the mat, but is he good at getting the fight to the mat? Because Alex Pereira, I mean, yes, he made Israel Adesanya look pretty good in their first matchup, but that was like a weird takedown, and I think he only had like 4 or 5 fights at that point. Not as if he's got loads of experience now, but he's been in there with Jan and other really experienced guys now. So I don't really think Alex Pereira has that bad takedown defense. Now, when he gets to the mat, I think he's in a lot of trouble. And plus, Yuri does have really good grounding point as well.
Yeah, I mean, Yuri. I mean, people talk about the Glover Teixeira submission. I'm seeing that more and more. He submitted Glover. He can 100% submit Alex Pereira, which is true. But at the same time, when I think it was a bulldog choke, I'm not too sure. But when
Alex
it was
like
Pereira,
a weird choke.
Yeah, when Yuri locked that in, I feel like it was down to Glover being super fatigued. And he said it himself, he made a huge mistake keeping his chin in the air, trying to catch his breath or something. And then Yuri just locked it in. I don't even know. But I don't believe it was down to luck. But I just think if they were to fight again, Yuri would never submit Glover. I feel like that was a 1 in 10 chance. But, I mean, Yuri can submit Alex Pereira if he gets him to the ground. People are mentioning the leg kicks. The leg kicks of Alex Pereira can give Yuri some problems, in my opinion. And Alex is super good at checking him, which could be a huge problem for Yuri Prohaska. But this is
Alex is so good at like throwing the leg kicks, not having them telegraph. Like you do,
it's insane.
He just throws them. There's no setup. Yeah, it's weird.
The striking differential, if it's just a striking matchup, again, it can't be overstated. But we forget, people got to remember what year it is. It's 2023, and the biggest upsets keep happening when we're not expecting them. And I'm just not going to go in here and just say Alex is going to destroy him, because I'm not having my reputation ruined anymore than it already has been this year. So for that fight, I'm going to go Alex Pereira by a very scruffy second round KO.
I'm going to go Yuri Prohaska. Yuri Prohaska first round KO. I think he KOs him in the
Yeah,
first. Just out there. I do think Yuri wins. Maybe KO in the first is a bit out there, like, but I've said
that
it, so
would
I'm
be
sticking
insane.
with it. Yeah, that
That
would
would
be
be insane.
crazy.
I mean,
That
what
would
should
be
be a
crazy.
20 shots around 4 in 5 round decision?
Uh, I have a funny feeling Tom Arsenal and Sergei Pavlovich might be like that. It might be
I feel like it's
torn.
going to be, yeah, like I said before, like when people say, he's going to go straight for him, you know, I
Yeah.
really don't think Sergey's going to go straight for Tom. I don't see it going that way. But in other news, we have, in fact, something I want to mention to you is Dylan Dennis has called out Paddy Pimblett. He wants to be signed by the UFC and he wants to fight Paddy Pimblett first. How would you see that matchup playing out?
He's a fucking big Dylan Dennis, like, isn't he? Like, he's just annoying though. Like, he literally had everybody on his side going to that Logan Paul fight. And like that guy genuinely has no stand up. Like, I honestly, that was probably one of the worst performances I've ever seen. That was awful. And that guy, in
Yeah.
my opinion, I don't even think he should fight in MMA. I think he should just go back to jiu-jitsu. I really don't see him having any success in MMA at all, especially against. Now, I don't like Paddy Pimblett. I am not a Paddy Pimblett fan. Paddy Pimblett smashes Dylan Dennis to pieces and batters him badly. Like,
Yeah.
I think
I
he
feel
punches Dylan Dennis pillar to post bad.
I think the UFC would sign Dylan Dennis. I honestly really think they would. Now, we'd have to see Dana White's thoughts on it. But if the
I just
UFC,
don't see
like if
it.
you're the UFC, you would surely want to sign him. He's probably a big name. And if he loses, I guess a lot of people are going to tune in to see him lose. Um, Here's the thing. I always say, listen, in an MMA fight, if Dylan Dennis gets you to the ground, you're in a lot
Yeah.
of trouble. You are in a lot of trouble. People forget, he might have. I feel like he knew he was outmatched against Logan Paul, so he just kind of didn't try on purpose, just in case he tried and looked bad losing. It was like I knew what he was doing. It was a very weird fight. But listen, Dylan has really, real, legit jiu-jitsu. I could definitely see him being like a Kron Gracie, a Ryan Hall, pulls guard a
Yeah.
lot, tries to
Shite.
shoot in a lot. Maybe the occasional fight, he could submit a few fighters in his guard, but and he has trained a lot with Conor McGregor. When I see him in MMA, he does try and fight in that stance.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I really don't know. I'm trying
Yeah.
to think of things for Dylan here. No,
Yeah.
scratch
It's
it.
like
Scratch
just
that. Scratch
thinking,
that.
yeah,
Scratch that.
just
He might submit a few people, but at the end of the day, Dylan Dennis, I just don't think he wants to fight people really. Like I couldn't imagine Dylan
that are
Dennis getting.
good.
Yeah, I couldn't
He doesn't
imagine
want to
Dylan
fight
Dennis
anybody
getting
that's
cut.
good.
Yeah, if Paddy Pimblett cut Dylan Dennis, I feel like Dylan would quit or something like that. Like
Yeah.
I just don't know if he is about that. You know what I'm saying?
I
But
wouldn't mind seeing him on the contender series. Like, I know he's a big name
yeah,
and all, but like, stick him on there. And if he gets a win, then fantastic. But especially Paddy Pimblett, who is much better on the feet than him and isn't a scrub on the ground either. Like, obviously, doesn't have the accomplishments in jiu-jitsu like Dylan Dennis, but like, he's not an idiot on the ground. Like, it's not as if, like,
yeah.
if they went, CM Punk's coming back and they made him versus Dylan Dennis, like, CM Punk's probably
CM
better
Punk
on the
hits the
feet.
GTS.
Yeah, CM Punk probably fucking beats him. He's better on the feet than him. That's so worrying. Yeah, I just don't think Dana will even entertain it purely because he got beat by Logan Paul and he looked so shit. I
I
don't think he'll bring him in.
I honestly think if Dylan really wanted it, which I'm not sure he does, I feel like if he could get, Daddy Connor to ring into the
Mm.
UFC, I feel like maybe Connor could get him in there. But we'll have to see, man. In other news, I seen it today. Reports of, first of all, we've got a few more fights. Jake Paul versus August.
Andre August or something, or is it
Andre
August
August, there
Andre?
we go.
Yeah.
But I mean, people are shitting on Jake Paul for this fight. I have to say, what do you want him to do? He's just doing what an inexperienced pro boxer would do, fighting not really great fighters. But I'm sure Andre August is going to turn up to at least try and win. He looks like he can knock people out. He does throw combinations. I think he's going to try and turn up to win and get knocked out. But listen, What do you want Jake Paul to do? Everyone wanted him to start fighting boxers. Who did you think he was going to fight? Did you think he was going to fight Bivol? Did you think he was going to fight Baturgev? You know, what do you want him to do?
Yeah, it's. I get that he wants to be, and I understand, like, this is the right move for him if he wants to be a boxing world champion, right? I just don't ever see that happening. But again, he's beaten some decent names. But anyway, I just don't see him ever being a world champion. For me, anyway, like Jake Paul, and this fight just isn't. It's not a big event. Like to me, when Jake Paul fights, it's like a big event because it's a big name, and like this guy here, well, I forget his name, Andre August, or is it August Andre? One of the two, right? That's his name. I don't know.
Yeah.
But and I did say this in my video, like on Boxing Rec, whatever you call that site that shows you like the records and resumes and things like that. Jake Paul's a 1 star on that, and this guy August or Andre is a half a star. So how bad does that make this guy? No, like if Jake Paul's a 1 star, how is this guy half a star? Oh, as Ben went. Let's see.
I am back. I'm just trying to. Just looked at my form percentage, so I'm rushing around trying to get.
Oh right, okay. Yeah,
I've got one here.
Yeah, so it's okay. I just prefer seeing Jake Paul in the big events. That's what I just think Jake Paul should be doing. Big events. Realistically, the fight everybody wants to see Jake Paul in next is KSI.
I mean, the thing with Jake Paul and KSI, like, that's the only fight I want to see. I would like for that to be the fight that kind of ends influencer boxing, but I know that it will never happen, and it wouldn't even end influencer boxing if it did. But that's what my ideal fantasy: Jake Paul KSI fight. Jake Paul probably beats him, and then that's the end of that.
Yeah, I think it like ends that chapter. Do you know what I mean? Like the KSI, Logan Paul, Jake Paul. Like when them two fight, you're still gonna have influencer boxing, but like kind of ends that whole chapter. And then and KSI wants to. I think he said he wants to retire, stop boxing, things like that. Just fight Jake Paul. You've already been beat now, so if just fight him, get it over and done with. You've been beat, and then no one is gonna harass you for the rest of your career. Why didn't you fight Jake Paul? Just fight him, get beat, and then bounce. Yeah. Jake Paul's taking this stuff serious. You're obviously not. You're doing star jumps in the ring, so it's like
just fight the guy.
Yeah, just and quickly. Then, sorry, go ahead.
Go on. No, it's fine. Actually, go on.
Yeah, just one thing just before we go, because we don't have long left. Finally, someone in the UFC has switched this on in here and has made Islam Makhachev point for point number 1. Thank you. Why did it take this long? This guy head kicked KO'd Volkanovski in a round.
Yeah, in a round.
Like, come on. Well, how is John Jones even above him? Who has he beat?
I mean,
recently.
I understand why. I understand why you'd have John and Islam. I understand why you'd rotate them. There's still what I don't like is when Volt fans still try and say like I'm like Volt, look, give it up. You know, it's fine. He'll forgive you. He's just not that guy. You know, he could be with a few more title defenses, but he's just not. And I do want to see Volt back at lightweight, but I'm glad. I'm fine with Islam being number 1. I'm very fine with it. I think that would be us for today, lot. Thank you all very much if you made it this far. Get your questions in for next week. We're going to try and get videos out maybe twice, once a week. And we'll see you all in the next one. Thank you all.
See you again.